Hey guys, welcome back to Forest Firearms. This is Thomas, and I've got another interesting 32 to show you guys. The Mauser Model 1934. This is a variation of the Mauser Model 1914. This is actually the final variation. They did several different renditions of this gun starting in 1910, and you got your three primary variations are the 1910, which is chambered in 25 ACP, the 1914, which is the same gun just blown up to this size and chambered in 32, excuse me. And then the final major change was the grip. Now this grip actually was copied off of the CZ27. The Germans just found it more ergonomical than the straighter back grips on the Model 1914. However, the CZ27, the original CZ22, which then became the 24, became the 27, was based on the Mauser Model 1914. So they borrowed a lot of ideas back and forth. The CZ22 was actually a licensed copy of a 1914. Now, this is a really interesting little pistol. I've been looking for one of these for a long time. They're not extremely common, at least here in Oregon. You don't really see them around that much. And they usually fly off the shelves pretty quick when you do see them. As usual with the 32, very easy to control, not very negligible recoil. This is a striker-fired pistol, and they're just weird looking. That's kind of what caught my eye initially when I started collecting firearms, was the oddity of the look of this gun. Now, we're going to take a step over here and take a look at the holster. I have the original holster, came with the gun. And weird thing with this, and I'm going to show you guys, there's some markings on this having a hard time identifying, but I brought this gun and holster to our friends at the Warfront, and there'll be a link in the description for their channel, or store rather, if you guys are interested. And they tried to help me identify some of the markings on this. It looks like it might be Japanese kanji, and a lot of these were sold to the Japanese before the Second World War started. So it is possible, I'm not certain, but possible that this is a Pacific Theater bringback. Very few of these were used by the Nazis. By my reading, roughly 6,000 total were served to the Army. There would be, right on this little plate here, you can see there's a line there. There would be a Waffenamt right there. Now, if this was Kriegsmarine, it'd be a lot more obvious. There'd be a very large eagle stamped right there with an M underneath it. There was a couple other units that may have used a few. It was not extremely common. Let's look at these strange markings that I was speaking of. So this right here is the original holster. I'm not certain on this, but it appears that someone added this button later. But you can not hardly see these, but there's a mark here and a mark here. Now this one is so faded, it is almost unidentifiable, but this one looks like it could be kanji. And there is also a extra marking that you don't see on the civilian model of this gun. Right there, that particular mark is very hard to identify, but then you got this small series of numbers here. Kind of looks like a Japanese serial number. Now the rest of the gun is all matched number. You got your number there, the full serial number is right here, and every other part of the gun virtually is numbered. So I'm going to go ahead and reload this, and we're going to give it another try. There's 7-shot magazines. I've only got one mag with the gun. I'll probably order another, and I'm using a PPU ammo. It's good ammunition, never had problems with it, so usually a pretty good choice for these older firearms, as they make a lot of obscure ammunition. You can find a lot of other brands of 32, but I like to play it safe. Okay, now weird thing, this last round does not like to go all the way in. You have to kind of depress and shove it into the back, because otherwise it won't feed into the gun very well. Another weird thing, this gun, there is no way to release the slide until you put the magazine in. The magazine is the slide release. So, observe. Gun is loaded. This is your safety, and again, you guys that may remember my CZ27 video, you'll notice that the safety right here is identical in function. You just depress that button to turn off the safety, you pull the switch down to engage it. So let's go over here to the target, take a few more shots. Okay. All right, did a little better that time. The sights on this are actually pretty easy to acquire. You got a nice notch in the back, very large blade in the front, but it appears to line up pretty much flat. You have to. We've been aiming a little low because it seems to hit maybe a little high. But of the 332s that I own, this one presently I would say seems to be the most functional for initial, just the first few shots here. Now this gun also is very, very strange to disassemble. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that. We're going to go back over to our little staging area for this. This was an early design. So as I said, the original design, this is just a blown up version of it, was the Mauser model 1910. This one, to the best of my knowledge, was manufactured in like 1938, 1939. It's a late serial number for the pre-1940 guns. The only ones that you'll see with the Waffen up were 1940 or later. Before that, they had this crown over a U stamped right here behind the sight. And you can probably barely see that there, but they did that reaching all the way back to the Weimar Republic. Prior to the Weimar Republic and First World War, you'd have different styles of markings on the gun. And these were a favorite among officers in the First World War, the earlier variations of this gun. But, like I say, to the best of my knowledge, this could be a Pacific Theater bringback from the Second World War. I'll be doing more research on that. There'll be versus videos with this and the CZ-27, the FN 1910. If I have more information, I'll give it to you guys then. So, let's look at the disassembly. It's very strange. So, I recommend just leaving the magazine in the gun pretty much the whole time, but you're going to have to manipulate it in and out a bit as you go along. So there's a little spring right here. I'm pressing it with my nail, and then you rotate this little pit here, and it just slides out. Okay, let's set that right there. Now, the barrel simply lifts straight out. It's got those two lugs that just sit in a pit there and in front of your mainspring there, guide rod. So after that, this is where it gets a little annoying because you're gonna have to manipulate the magazine to move the gun in and out. So first, I would say pull the magazine out a little ways, and then push it in until the slide starts going forward. When the slide stops, hold firm so that this doesn't go flying because you are on spring tension here. Pull your magazine back out and slide the rest of the way. So, and you got your firing pin there. You know, you can get deeper into disassembling, but I'm just showing you guys how to field strip these. Your mainspring guide rod just sit in this pocket and in a little spot right there on the front of the gun. So that right there is your primary disassembly. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. So it's a piece of cake. To reassemble, I'd start with putting your spring in there, get lined up on your rails, make sure that the spring is in this pocket, and then you pull all the way back until it locks. Now it will stay locked. You can take your magazine out for this part here. Take your barrel, set it back in, take this little holding rod, insert, and you got to keep it off to one side or the other, because when you get to here, you got to depress this spring back, and there you go. The gun is back together. Interesting little piece. Like I say, I've been looking for one of these for a long time. I was really happy when I found it. But there will be more videos posted involving this gun in the future, as I said. I've got a number of 32s that have had no real tie to each other, but this and the CZ-27 being so closely related, of course we're going to do versus with that. And the older variations of this very well could have seen service on opposite sides of the battlefield from the FN 1910, of which I've also done a video on. So there's going to be a versus video there as well. Meanwhile, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. This has been Thomas of Forest Firearms, and I'll see you next time.